My name is Joshua Mugabi. I welcome you to topic 10.3, Sexual Reproduction in Humans. We are looking at learning outcome A. Understand the structure and functions of male and female reproductive system in humans. We are going to look at our learning activity. In pairs or groups, learners examine charts of the male and female reproductive systems. They draw and label them, researching and annotating diagrams with the functions of each part. Reproductive system, item 1. Drawing and label the parts. The teacher provides charts, posters, or digital diagrams of the female and male human reproductive systems. Learners closely study the diagrams. Tasks. Draw, identify, and label the major structures in the male reproductive system. So here we want to draw, to identify, and label the major structures in the male reproductive system. So when we look at our male reproductive system, this is our male reproductive system we have here. We have different parts. We shall start from the tests here. When you look at the tests here, the test you will see that it is in a sac, and that sac we call it the scrotum. Then this one, which is like a ball, that is what we are calling the testes. And we have this small tube here. That small tube, we call it the epididymis. So from the testes, we go to the first tube, which we call the epididymis. And the epididymis continues with this tube going upward. And this tube now forms what we call the seminiferous tubules or seminiferous vesicles. Seminiferous vesicles there. Then from the seminiferous vesicle, we enter into a gland. This gland is what we are calling the prostate gland. From the prostate gland, we come to a tube which connects to another gland. This gland here is what we refer to as the Cowper's gland. From the Cowper's gland, it connects to the tube, and this tube comes and enters into the penis. That tube is what we are calling the urethra. Then from the urethra, we enter into the organ, and this organ is what we are referring to as the penis. So those are the major structure in the male reproductive system. There are other structures which are mainly not part of the male reproductive system, but Like, for example, the bladder, that is a urinary system. The ureter, it is under the urinary system. We have, there is something we left out, semin-vesical, semin-vas deferens. We did not talk about the vas deferens. Vas deferens is that tube that comes from the epididymis. We form the vas deferens tube. Draw, identify, and label all major structures in the female reproductive system. This time now we want to draw, we want to identify, and we want to label the major structures in the female reproductive system. So when you look at the male reproductive system, here we have our male reproductive system. The whole of this one is our male reproductive system. We shall start from the outside, the opening. When you look at the outside, we start with the vagina, which is the opening outside here. And then as we go up, we come to this closure here, and that one we call it the cervix. Then from the cervix, we come into this tube here, and that tube is what we are calling the uterus. Then from the uterus, we go to these tubes. These tubes are what we refer to as the fallopian tubes. From the fallopian tubes, we go to this structure here, which connects to the ovary. And that structure, which is called the funnel of the oviduct. It is the funnel of the oviduct. And that one connects to the organ, this organ here, which we refer to as the ovary. So that is the female reproductive system. Though we have also connected to the urinary system, where we have the kidney, we have the ureter, and then we have the urethra down here, and then we have the bladder, urinary bladder. Mention the functions of male reproductive system. We want now to look at the functions of the male reproductive system. So we have the male reproductive system, we have the structure and their function. The first one is the testes. And the testes, these ones, they produce sperms and a male hormone, which we call testosterone. Then we have the scrotum. For the scrotum, this one holds and protects the testes, and it keeps them cooler so that there is possible sperm production. Then we have the epididymis. The epididymis, its major part is to store and matures the sperms. When we come to the sperm duct, what we call as vas deferens, this one, it carries the sperms from the epididymis to the urethra. Then we have the seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicle, they produce nutrient-rich fluid, and this one nourishes the sperms. When you come to the prostate gland, the prostate gland, this one produces an alkaline fluid, and its purpose is to protect the sperms in the acidic vagina. Then we have the urethra. The urethra, this one is for the passage of the semen and the urine, not at the same time. And lastly, we have the penis. This one, its major work is to deliver the sperm into the female reproductive tract. Measure the functions of the female reproductive system. So here we want to look at the functions of the female reproductive system. So in the female, we have the structures and then their functions. We start with the ovary. The ovary, this one produces the eggs, which we call the ova, and also the female hormones. And those hormones, we have estrogen and progesterone. Then we have the oviduct, or what we call the fallopian tubes. These are the sites of fertilization. They also transport eggs to the uterus. Then we have the uterus, which we call the womb. This is where the embryo implants and develops. We have the cervix. The cervix, this is a narrow opening of the uterus, and it allows the passage of sperm and menstrual blood. Then when we come to the vagina, this is one receives the penis during intercourse and the passage of the child birth. We have what we call the endometrium. The endometrium, this one is the lining of the uterus. It thickens for implantation of the embryo. What are the skills demonstrated or required to be demonstrated? We have observation skills. You study the chart and the diagrams very well. We have the drawing skills. Here you accurately draw the biological diagrams. And then there is the labeling skills, precise identification of the structures, and you label them. Annotation skills, explain the functions clearly. We need correlation skills. You discuss together in the group and you agree. Then the research skills, here you use multiple sources. Then we want to look at the summary. We said by examining the charts of the male and female reproductive systems, the learners, they can identify and draw the main structures. Then after drawing the main structure, they label each part and annotate the diagrams with functions. such as the sperm production in the testes, the eggs production in the ovaries. This will help the learner to understand how the organs work together for human reproduction. Thank you very much for participating in topic 10.3, sexual reproduction in humans. We have been looking at learning outcome. A. Understand the structure and the functions of the male and female reproductive system in human. We have been looking at the learning activity whereby in pairs or groups, learners examine charts of a male and female reproductive system. They draw and label them, researching and annotating diagrams with functions of each part. Please visit me at Mugabi Joshua Biology on YouTube. Do not forget to like, to share, and subscribe.